This is amazing. We are sort of on the bridge. The noise of helicopters, sirens,
right? There's a lot of life
traffic.
Here. Yeah.
What is going on?
It is wonderful chaos here.
When Kriss Roebling's great-great-great-grandfather came to the United States, new technologies were taking the world by storm. The telegraph, sewing machines, the railroad, all of it made people optimistic about the capabilities of human engineering. And John Roebling was ready to make his mark.
John did not come up with the idea of a suspension bridge, but he did come up with the idea of a suspension bridge that would actually stay up. It was not a reliable technology until John developed it.
The Great Bridge would be longer than any before in history. Through projects in Cincinnati, Niagara Falls and other places, John Roebling earned the trust of officials and was ready to start building. And then disaster struck. He died after an accident. It left his son, Washington, to face the problems of actually building the thing, the budget and the corrupt officials who were involved. Eventually, Washington would fall so ill that he was bedridden, and it would be his wife who suddenly assumed a prominent role.
What she really was the chief field engineer,
Really?
which was an immense. I mean, to me, I don't see why that isn't just amazing in itself.
Through their joint expertise, this husband and wife duo would overcome all the challenges.
What we've got going on here is a late 19th century superstructure that was considered one of the great wonders of the modern world.
Where are we? Are we at the middle?
We're at the middle. Yeah, we're at the middle. So we're at roughly 135 feet above the East River now, which at that point in time was also, besides being this huge expanse from side to side, was also about the highest point you could be in New York City. You gotta keep in mind, around the same time, buildings that were being built that were huge were maybe 6 or 7 stories high. And so when you were standing here, you were standing at almost twice the height of the tallest building that you could climb into at that point in time.
What's the most fascinating part for you of this bridge?
The aspect of how they were going into the dark when they created it, because most structures that are so ambitious and grand are created with immense levels of safety nets, which is simply previous knowledge. And so much of this bridge was built and designed figuring out the science and the technology behind it as they were doing it.
It was an unprecedented project. Its accomplishments go beyond the world of engineering. It's a majestic gathering point for all New Yorkers.
When you walk across it now, what do you think?
I still think it's stunningly beautiful, and having lived in the city my entire life, I tend to forget that I have a familial relationship to it unless I'm in a situation like this. So it is, as John said, the people's bridge, and that means it's everybody's, and I'm simply one of the people.
In some senses, Kriss is indeed one of the people. His job in the music industry has nothing to do with architecture or engineering, but his knowledge of the bridge runs through his blood, with artifacts from his relatives passed down through the generations.
It was all consigned to blueprints that were made using those implements right there. Those were his drafting utensils, and he used to keep them on him at all time, including apparently at nighttime, that he had them in a leather pouch that he kept with him so that even if he had an idea in the middle of the night, he could very quickly pull them out and start drafting.
Taking the bridge from those drafting tools to reality wasn't easy. More than a century later, the problems are forgotten, and New Yorkers of all kinds are enjoying a towering landmark for generations.
How many times have you crossed it?
More than I will ever be able to remember.